Welcome back to Our City Crowdfunding. This is a show which is all about crowdfunding and crowdsourcing and getting your business or your social enterprise underway with the help of the crowd. I'm Syed Kamall, MEP for London, and I'm a former businessman, and we're being hosted today by forcommoncause.org, the crowdfunding and crowdsourcing website. So what I want to do now is some live mentoring. This is a really important part of making businesses work, especially if you're new to it, and part of the work for Common Cause do every month. They organise sessions where projects can come and get advice from mentors. So I want to bring some of that to life right now and show you how valuable it is. We've got some great projects here today, and I want to welcome back Lisa with Wishes, the costume design business, and Victoria with her gourmet bakery business, and also David, one of the mentors. So let's start with Lisa. Tell us some of the issues that you really need help with at the moment in your business.
Well, at the moment, I'm trading from storage containers. I'm looking for a new shop premises that I can see my customers from, and I'm finding it quite difficult because I've been restricted to an A1 unit, which means that I have to retail on my local high street, and I can't afford to go there. The rents are quite high, and as a new business, I have to put quite a high deposit down on that.
So your business is a bit of business to business and business to consumer, and you're being told that you have to go into a sort of A1 retail space, as it were.
That's right.
What if you dropped the retail side of it and you only went business to business, so you could move into a business unit? Would that be feasible for you, or actually would you lose too much customer?
Not really. I really do rely on a lot of the walk-in trade and general public as customers. So business to business, although it is half of my customer base, I'm going to lose too much if I just stick with that.
And I want to bring David in here with some of your mentoring. What sort of questions would you ask?
Well, I was wondering what proportion of the business is business to business and what proportion is business to customer, and how you access those business to customers, and whether there's some other way in which you could do it rather than having, say, premises on high street where people would just come in off the street. But what proportion would you say?
I have 3 client bases. So my first one would be the studios and productions that are going on in the area. They're local, so I need to stay nearby because they're often quite demanding and I have very short timescales to be able to deliver to them. The second lot of customers that I have would be my theatres and schools, which usually they come to me and there's a bit more preparation behind it, but they're what I would call business to business as well.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
The other set would be the general public, and the other 2 are seasonal, so productions go on and off, and schools and theatres are mainly at Christmas or end of school, that sort of end of term things. But the walk-in customers are my everyday, all-day trade, so if I lose that, I'll become a business that only trades within certain periods of time.
Have you thought about trading within another shop as a form of alliance, a partnership, and find a location that maybe they could sort of accommodate you in a certain part of the shop?
The area that I live in actually is quite difficult, and I have been keeping an eye to see if there's somebody that I could share a space with, and I found a few people, like a photographer for instance, that wanted to look for a space, but actually even with the 2 of us, the shop spaces were very expensive, and there's not a lot of space there.
You probably want somebody who's already established it, and you have to stay pretty close to the studios too.
Yes, I do.
Do you know proportionally in terms of your revenue which is bringing the greater benefit to your business?
I'd say it is definitely 50-50, which is why it's concerning me so much to drop the
I know you're seeing the general public grow as a market.
Yes, it is. It's definitely because we do a lot of community work. That's a great tool for advertising for the business. So we get more and more people who do have one-off parties and things coming in.
Is there a way? Have you thought about maybe the business to business doing it out of an industrial unit, as it were, or near studios, but maybe looking at another way of reaching the retail customers, maybe via catalogues, via the website, and then you drive around to deliver to trial? Because you were saying to me earlier, a very important aspect of that consumer business is the ability to come and try the costumes.
Yes.
Is there another way that they can select the costumes, and then you could take 1 or 2 around for them to try, or would that be far too time consuming?
In some aspects it will be time consuming. I can see that working with some clients. So if I've got a theatre, for instance, that are doing a set programme, say a Peter Pan, then I know that I could select those costumes maybe and hire a room or a hall for space and allow them to come and view those, or take them over to them if it's appropriate for them to be able to see them. And I could probably work with the schools doing that, so that's something to consider.
And also the other issue is it seems to be the council that's limiting you. They've kind of defined you as someone who has to be in A1 retail space, even though you also do business to business. Have you talked to anyone else at the council, maybe or got involved politically, maybe with a councillor or MP, asking them to clarify it? Because surely they would want businesses to thrive in their local area.
Yes, I think there's a big push in our area at the moment to try and help businesses, especially startups like myself. So it's probably worth considering seeing if there's a contact within the council that I can talk to about that.
Sorry, just coming back to the split of your business, it seems to me, knowing a little bit about your business, that one of the big activities is storage. It's actually having, and that would never work well on a high street. You'd be paying far too much money for that storage cost. So you need to think a little bit about your business as being in two parts and how you make that work together. And I think you need to think a little bit about whether there isn't a store of some description, I don't know, a department store or a toy shop or something, where there's some space where you could actively trade from, but not thinking about keeping all your costumes in one place. Because you need that agility, you need that flexibility.
And you want to swap a lot of your rent with stock, as it were. So it sounds like here today, just very simply, very quickly, hopefully we've given you a couple of ideas. Talk about how think about how you separate that business. Is there a way that you don't want all your stuff to be stored in a retail space? You'll be paying far too much rent for that. And how can you serve both sets of customers while minimising the costs? And maybe you can go to partnerships. And the other way is pursue the political route. Think about going to the council or local MP and saying, look, you want us to start businesses, but I've been stopped by the local council for being more flexible. I hope that helps. I hope that gives you
and also do bear in mind that often policy decisions are taken in vacuum and they don't necessarily know the impact of them until people who are impacted by them go back and tell them. So it's very useful to do that.
Yeah, and you should be telling them, well, if you are really saying this, you do realise that that's probably the end of my business, or my business massively reduces. Is that what you want? Is there a way you can help me? And sometimes they think, oh, actually, I had not realised that, as you say. It's a policy idea. The computer says this or this set, but actually, maybe we should be looking beyond this world of computer says no. Now, what about you, Victoria? What issues are you looking at in your business? Where are you seeking some advice?
So at the moment, we're looking to expand. We need packaging and labelling for the jams that we're making and the breads that we're making. And also, we're looking for commercial premises to start trading and to do trade from business to business.
So why do you want commercial premises now? How many people do you have working at the moment for the business?
So there's two of us working, me and the head chef Jenna. We want commercial premises because I think it's more reputable for business to business trade, and also the kitchen that we're in at the moment is not ideal. We're baking early in the morning and it's in a house, so we're making noise for the other people that live there. And also, when they come down for breakfast, we're still baking.
There must be some wonderful bread. I'd love to come down to some of your gourmet bread and sort of strawberry and beetroot jam, but I'm sure not everyone wants to do it every morning. And so really, you're looking for commercial premises at the moment. What about you, David?
Well, it's every business that goes through its period of growth has a point at which it has to start thinking about funding. Funding is going to mean that you've got to demonstrate to somebody you've got a business, that you've got a future revenue stream, that you've got a track record of building a business, and you might struggle at this stage to find funding. So you perhaps want to think about alternative sources of funding, and also think about the scale at which you want to expand to. Commercial premises are, in a sense, incidental in a way, because you can always base yourself out of a location. What's critical is, what are you actually trying to make? Can you make it in the space that you've got, and can you get it to your customer in the way that they expect to receive it? So you want to think a little bit about the practical issues, practical problems you're trying to solve, not worry too much about whether you deem this commercial space to be commercial or otherwise, and look at the costs associated with. Are you in top of your costs? Do you know broadly what the costs of your production are?
Yeah, so we're focusing on two main products, the breads and the jams. So I know the costs for all of those items.
Right. And is your pricing appropriate so that you can make some margin out of that to contribute to
Yeah,
cost
so
investment?
yeah, definitely. The margin for the jams, I would say, are much larger than for the breads.
Right.
Just because the breads they take a day extra to make, whereas the jams it's like an hour for each batch, so it's
Right.
a lot quicker. But
Right.
the breads will take about 16 hours for it to prove and everything, so it's very time consuming. But we're also the reason we was thinking of just moving into someone's nightclub, so just using it for a few hours in the morning.
Yep, that's a good move. Or a restaurant that doesn't open till lunchtime, or any. I mean, it's a very, very practical, good way of dealing with this. And one of the entrepreneurs I've been working with has exactly the same issue, producing something, but the cost of building an infrastructure is enormous in comparison to the revenue that's going to come, or the margin that's going to come through. So that's a very sort of clever idea of approaching that.
I was working with a sandwich project, and they had a commercial kitchen lined up, but then they suddenly realised it wasn't going to be ready or signed off in time, and they had 3 months without a home, and so we had to scramble around to find an alternative premises, and we just asked around for anyone who might be able to give us premises, a school, a commercial outlet, a youth club, someone who might just have a slightly bigger kitchen. And it's amazing who out there might well say, well, actually, it's only for a few months, or as you're growing your business, maybe we can come to some arrangement, because actually we could do with a little bit of money as well. So, that idea of partnerships very early on, do you have to do it all on your own? And I think what you need to do is just go around the local area, see how far out you want to go, how far are you from your customers as well. Are all your customers around the area you're in Dalston? Are they much further out? Or actually, do you have to stay in Dalston? And how do you get there in the morning? What time do you bake? What time do you start baking?
So mainly it will be from 12 midnight.
Yes.
Really? You're baking through the night?
Yes.
Baking through the night until 3 a.m. Then I'll get a few hours of sleep, then wake up again and start packaging.
Right.
That's a great commitment. That's very impressive. Yeah. I'm just slightly anxious about the pricing of this. I mean, obviously there's a limit to how much you can charge, but you ought to consider this to be artisanal bread.
Yeah.
So it comes at a premium to reflect the effort that you're putting into delivery, and it's obviously it's smaller volume, so you can't get the economies of scale, so you can't get the cheaper price, if you like. So you shouldn't be competing on price. You should be competing on quality, and you should be branding it as artisanal bread. So this should be equivalent to some of the products you're seeing in the higher end of the market, where people are actually charging quite substantial prices for it.
Yeah.
So does that help? We've given some ideas about, do you need to really go to commercial premises now? Are there alternatives? Can you look for partnerships or sharing in ways? And also think about your whole pricing structure to reflect the effort and, as you say, the love that you're putting into the bakery. Well, I hope that's given you an idea of how For Common Cause monthly mentoring sessions help their project and can help you too. You can just see how valuable it's been. If you have a question for Common Cause, then you'll find the details of their website on the screen right now. And if you miss something from any of the shows that we're making, you'll find detailed notes on my website at syedkamall.com. Just click on the button that says Our City.